knowing, and also to be fair, I would give everyone benefit of the doubt. Like it's unknown, a lot of this too. We thought would affect more elderly people, and we're seeing that it's having effects on younger people too, and we don't know why.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing that up because that's kind of true too. And again, in February, when I was poo-pooing this and saying, "Oh, it's only going to affect the immune compromised elderly, all this stuff. We'll be fine. We'll have some kind of cold-like virus, and that'll be it for young people." But no, we're seeing healthy people in their 20s getting intubated. When I worked with somebody yesterday, my colleague yesterday, he's 23. He was on a ventilator. He got COVID March 15th. He was on a ventilator for a week. He's lucky he survived. It was his first day back at work yesterday. And it's crazy. Healthy 23-year-old.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are seeing that. I still don't think people are understanding that, because unless you know somebody that got hospitalized personally, which is becoming more frequent, you still, if you don't see it firsthand, it's like anything. If you don't see it, you don't really know what it's about or believe it, maybe. But if anybody's listening, that doesn't really think it's that bad. Maybe not for some people, but there's going to be a good percentage of people that it's really, really bad for, no matter what your age is. So it's scary,
It's interesting, and because this is a surf radio show, it's interesting seeing the dichotomy in the surf community about this, whether to surf or not to surf, and whether to travel to surf, and how to be smart about it. And I feel like there are people in other parts of the country that feel this is an overreaction, and they think that the police are being ridiculous for trying to stop people from, gathering and stuff like that, and even surfing, and I think it's just like, it's for our own good in some ways. It's scary. You hate ceding that sort of liberty, but on the other, you're like, I will take that choice then not to do it, because I choose not to go, I guess.
Yeah, and just to kind of bring it back to surfing a little bit, I kind of feel the same way as you do, to be honest. The truth is, surfing is it's probably fine to do right now, but look where we live and how we're in a very overpopulated area, and if they let people go surf, and you go to Lincoln or Rockaway or whatever, and whatever jetty you surf at, and there's going to be 100 people in the water, close together, it's just not a smart thing to do. Sure, if we lived somewhere like, I don't know, maybe somewhere out east where you could be completely alone somewhere, maybe that'd be different, but I feel like in our area, it's kind of not a smart move, because unfortunately, it's not going to be one or two people spread out. It's going to be 100 people on top of each other, and people aren't going to distance and do what they're supposed to do.
You always have that,
unfortunately,
idiot, there's always that person is just not very self-aware, and I hate to say I don't fully trust my fellow humans, but I don't fully trust my fellow humans always.
I definitely don't trust our fellow humans, but I'm also, it's kind of crazy too, because in Puerto Rico they shut it down before we did. Wow. They shut everything down before we did, and actually they're way more strict over there. And they haven't been surfing anything over there, and they've had a couple pumping swells, and people just had to watch, which is crazy. And they had police boats, going up and down the coast, cops on the beach. It's been kind of crazy. They've been taking it very, very seriously over there. But also, Puerto Rico's not letting people go out on, group jogs together, which in New York we seem to have no problem with.
It's too much.
So
it's crazy.
So at least in Puerto Rico they're strict, but they're strict across the board. Where in New York they kind of pick and choose what they're strict about, which is kind of weird. I could walk into the pharmacy to pick up my daughter's vitamins and see 100 people in the store wearing filthy gloves, shoulder to shoulder, and I'm like, how do you allow this? But I don't know. It's just a weird place we're living in right now.
Yeah, and it's now the other question I have is it okay to post photos of you surfing really good waves in the time of this pandemic? Like, so like the other day it was kind of pumping here. And like, I get if you post a few days later, a week later, you know, cool. It's not as painful. But when you see it almost in real time on socially, you're just like, I'm staying home. I'm trying to do the right thing. And you guys don't want me coming down there, but you're making it really hard. You know?
I know. It did look pretty damn good, especially some of those pics from out east. Look pretty insane. Yeah, it does. It does make it hard.
Now, let me ask.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings about the surfing thing because I feel like it's doable, but I just don't, like you said, I just don't feel like our society would adhere to these, you know, rules and make it safe. You know, I just don't trust everybody, you know?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So one of the guys I interviewed, John Brooks, I think he listened to the episode. You know, he was trying to, you know, petition and work within the county and the local government to surf responsibly. And I'm going to check in on him in a few weeks and see how it's going. You know, it's I'm curious. You know, if you get like people communicating and really trying to be vocal about it, maybe it has a chance. And not New York and Rockaway, it's just too much. In Long Beach, like it's just too dense. But Florida, maybe California, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a place for it. It's unfortunately for us, we live in a super congested area that I don't know if it's a doable thing, especially with, you know, summer coming. You know, we'll see how that goes. I mean, that brings up like the next part, like what is going to happen in a month or two from now with this? You know, what happens after Memorial Day? Are they going to? I know they're talking about New York City not opening up the beaches.
Wow.
Will Long Beach do the same? I don't know. You know, I mean, I guess we're going to have to see how this disease goes, which is kind of another part. Like I don't think anybody has a freaking clue about, is this going to just disappear like flu does kind of in the summer? Is it going to linger to some degree and then come back in the fall? You know, there's a lot of questions that I think they're just all watching the rates, and I guess they're going to plan out from them, because you think about our summers here, like what would Long Beach do or Rockaway do if they're like, yeah, your beaches are closed for the summer? You know, that's really going to be pretty dramatic, you know?
I really don't want to even think about it. You know, it's scary, you know, for all the businesses and just for people's sanity, you know, at a certain point, you know, that people are going to get anxious, I think. You know, that definitely makes me nervous. You know? Yeah,
and then if they close it, and if they do close it, are people going to start traveling to go to the beach and surfing, which is a whole other thing too that you brought up. I don't know what's going to happen. I like I said, I'm kind of like, man, people need to go get out and get some activities in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you would be able to do it, but I wish there was a way that people are allowed to surf right now, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't, you know, you know, I've seen plenty of pictures on Instagram that people are packed shoulder to shoulder, and it's upsetting for me that when I see it not being taken seriously, this whole thing by people, you know, just because people don't realize that, you know, just maybe you might be an asymptomatic carrier, but I might wind up on a ventilator and die. Exactly. You know, you don't know, and it's a crapshoot, and it's not worth maybe hurting somebody else for, you know.
That's it, you know. I mean, it's just I've always, since I've been in lockdown, you know, I've just always tried to treat myself as if I am carrying it, you know, and have it. So I'm really cautious around everyone. I haven't really seen people, you know, and, you know, I'm not surfing for that reason. And the other is, obviously, we don't even know if it can spread in salt water. We don't know, you know. They said it can spread in water. You can get it in certain parts of water. It can live in it for a while, and that's one thing. And then the other is, and this is a question I wanted to ask you, is what if you're that asshole who gets hurt surfing, you know, and it's like a non-fatal injury, but like stitches? What are you thinking if someone comes into the ER and they're like, I was surfing and I got a stitch in my arm and now you got to be pulled away? What are you thinking about that person?
I mean, that does cross my mind a lot, and I've seen it already a lot. But well, actually, our everything is way down besides COVID because people are staying home.
Totally.
So we're seeing way less injuries, way less car accidents, way less of everything. Really, it's kind of weird.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that. But I also think too, for people out there, think about this: you get hurt, right? You go to the ER. Good chance you're going to leave with COVID.
Yeah, you know? Pretty much.
you know, if not for anything else, like, you know, you're talking about a place just, you know, you really you want to try to avoid any kind of acute care kind of place right now.
Totally.
And it's just filled, basically. So, I mean, it's kind of two-sided with that, you know.
That also makes me want to, for the people who don't take it serious or deny it or think it's not a big deal, I always want to say, and I've never said this to anyone, but I imagine saying this, you know, in my head being like, oh, well, you think it's no big deal? Go down and volunteer at the ER then. Go hang out for a little while. Why don't you go see it then?
Yeah, and I say that all the time, and, like, honestly, like, you know, us, how do I put this? You know, I don't think we really want, I don't know, how do I say it? So basically,
don't want that.
I think what you think all the time, like I always say, man, if the public could just see what goes on in real life here.
Yeah.
And, you know, the ER, and really any time, even not just during COVID, they would really be rethinking a lot of their activities and what they're doing because it's scary, you know, it's crazy. Like, man, even calling back, like I'll call back somebody's lab sometimes and I'll say, hey, your COVID was, you know, was positive, you know, you got to stay home, are you feeling better? And they're like, yeah. And like, you know, if you get short of breath, you know, come back to the ER, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, if I got short of breath, you're going to put me on one of those breathing machines to help me out? I'm like, do you realize, you know, like people don't even realize what that means.
Yeah.
You know, like getting put on a ventilator is it's a big deal. And it means that, you know, basically the survival rate of that is like, man, I think it's only about 20 to maybe 30% survival rate once you're on a ventilator from COVID. So it's not great.
Like,
you know?
How often would you have to use a ventilator before COVID? Like,
well, let's put it. I guess I would put it this way. So every day is so different, right? But I would say when I was full time in the ER, maybe I would intubate 1 to 2 people a day on average myself. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe in a whole ER, maybe on average like 5 or 6 a day max, right? Mm-hmm. On average, right? Obviously, there's some days that are like, holy crap, what's going on today?
No, full moon, you know.
But on average, I would say on average right now it's about maybe 20 people a day.
Holy
which is
shit.
Yeah, but I will also say that I'm not full time in the ER, and every day it's changing because what maybe people thought was a good idea to do in the beginning of this may not be a good idea to do now. And what I mean by that is basically everything you knew about medicine as a MD or a PA is kind of different with this disease. You got to kind of change your mindset, and because basically when it started and people were coming in, and that kind of patient population we're talking about that were first coming in with really low oxygen levels, but they looked good, you're like, holy crap, I got to intubate them and put them on a vent. You know, they're obviously in respiratory failure, but they're not. We found this kind of later that they're really in oxygenating failure, that population. But basically, we're intubating a lot of people at first, just based on their oxygen level. Mm-hmm. And I think in hindsight, you're going to see retrospectively that we probably didn't need to intubate as many. And even though we're still intubating a lot. But I think now you're doing things that you would never normally do before COVID, where you would let people be on different non-invasive